Hello everybody, today we have an epic battle for you between the Wither Storm from Minecraft Story Mode and the Storm King from Fortnite, Lego Fortnite, and Fortnite Save the World. These are two titanic monsters in their own right, destroying worlds and universes alike. And today we're gonna find out who would win. A not death battle between the two of them. Nothing built can last forever, and anything, no matter how great, fades with time. The world needs us, Ruben. So much of it has already been reduced to bedrock. It's up to us to save what's left. You pulled me out of that Wither Storm's clutches, and I ran and ran far from the temple. If you hadn't saved me... well, I owe you everything, Jesse. So much chaos, destruction. It's all a blur, but the Wither Storm left almost nothing behind. Everything, everyone was just gone. It even got Gabriel. The Wither Storm, when described, looks like a normal Minecraft wither, that being a dark skeletal creature with a tail, a ribcage, and 3 heads with glowing white eyes and mouths. The only difference between the Wither Storm and a regular wither, however, is the fact that there is a command block in its ribcage. At least that's the only difference at first. As you will see, it soon starts absorbing everything around it, forming a hard obsidian-like shell of sorts on the outside. This shell is impenetrable by normal means, being immune to most forms of weaponry, projectiles, and even magic to an extent. The Wither Storm, after it quickly grows, will reach the subject matter of today, his destroyer form and all the forms that come after his destroyer form. No offense to the Wither Storm, but I'm pretty sure it would be utterly obliterated in mere seconds if it had to face the Wither Storm in its beginning stages. After the Wither Storm reaches the destroyer form, it will keep getting bigger and bigger. In Minecraft Story Mode, the Wither Storm is attacked by a weapon known as the F-Bomb, aka the Formidabomb, which is powerful enough to break its obsidian-like shell and split it apart. However, the command block is immune to all forms of explosives, which means that the Wither Storm rises again as 3 different Wither Storms. This is the biggest we see the Wither Storm in Minecraft Story Mode, and it also happens to be the most powerful. The inside of the Wither Storm is a pink, decayed wasteland that is littered with the corpses, the mummified corpses at that, of unfortunate victims of the Wither Storm. Inside it is also a ribcage of tentacles and 2 heads on the walls meant to guard the command block. The lore of the Wither Storm is as follows. The Wither Storm was created in Minecraft Story Mode in Episode 1, simply known as Order of the Stone, where a man named Ivor, in order to get revenge on a group of heroes known as the Order of the Stone, attempts to control a wither by building a normal wither recipe with a command block in the center. This horribly backfires, however, in creating the Wither Storm. Soon Ivor loses control of it, and the Wither Storm rampages, destroying this city it was made in and everything else in its path. After that, the Wither Storm hunts down Jesse, the main character of Minecraft Story Mode, and all of his friends. Eventually, they try blowing it up. However, that only results in the Wither Storm becoming more powerful. Eventually, Jesse enters the inside of the Wither Storm and strikes it down using a super weapon. The powers and abilities of the Wither Storm go quite interestingly. So first of all, the Wither Storm, it has superhuman physical characteristics. It has flight, telekinesis, matter manipulation, absorption, regeneration, death manipulation, memory manipulation, fire manipulation, dark, light manipulation, body control, duplication. And yeah, that's a basic list of what it can do. As for the Wither Storm scaling, at very minimum, he is 6A multi-continental level, though at at the highest possible scaling you could give the Wither Storm, he is high 3A high universal level, due to the fact that if left alone, the Wither Storm will just keep consuming everything and growing bigger and bigger and even bigger. In terms of attack potency, he is, well, again, city block level to high universal level. In terms of speed, he is roughly athletic human level to subsonic levels. Lifting strength is infinite. There is theoretically no limit to the amount that the Wither Storm can lift. His striking strength, well, his striking strength can vary. At low ends, it's enough to send humans and trees flying like ragdolls with minimal effort. At higher ends, his striking strength is enough to break through obsidian in a single hit, something that not even a fully enchanted netherite pickaxe can do. Unless you, well, beef it up with commands, which honestly makes sense for the Wither Storm. The Wither Storm's durability is near endless. Not only is his skin at very least, the strength of obsidian, but the command block is nearly indestructible, only being damageable by, well, the command block's only weakness is itself. Its only weakness. The Wither Storm's stamina is infinite, due to it being, well, a living machine. The Wither Storm's range varies with its size, being anywhere from the size of a large city to, well, about the size of Australia. The standard equipment of the Wither Storm includes the command block, the Wither Storm heads, the tractor beams, which are capable of deconstructing and pulling towards and absorbing anything that even gets a mere glimpse of the tractor beam. Wither skulls, which are the normal projectile of the Wither, which explode on contact with whatever it is aimed towards, and inflicts Wither, a status effect that causes the body of whoever it is inflicted with to start decaying. But more importantly, the Wither Storm has a little thing known as Wither Storm skulls, which are similar to Wither skulls, but they have fire behind them, and they have a much bigger explosion, ranging anywhere from building level to block level, as evidenced by a single Witherstorm skull taking out a massive bridge which I do not have the time and or patience to calculate the size of. Massive rods that come from the Witherstorm's body that have the strength of obsidian, capable of piercing through obsidian and digging straight into the ground with minimal effort. Not only that, but despite looking flimsy, they are capable of destroying well-built structures, not so well-built structures, flinging people like ragdolls, and sending trees flying like they are nothing. As for the intelligence of the Witherstorm, this can vary depending on your look of the Witherstorm. He is either a mindless machine just doing what he is programmed to do, or it is smart enough to utilize the command block, which really depends on if you think that the Witherstorm is just doing what it's programmed to do, which, to be fair, it does do what it's programmed to do, or if the Witherstorm does a little more than that due to its tendencies to get distracted and hover around and, actively target people, which could signify some form of intelligence. Its only weakness is the command block. While yes, creatures can tear pieces off the Witherstorm, as well as bigger attacks such as the Formidabomb being capable of splitting the Witherstorm is completely capable of recovering from any of it. The Witherstorm, I forgot to mention this in standard equipment, has a hurricane around it at all times. Minimal pieces of blocks and debris that just hover around the Witherstorm, kind of acting like a shield for the Witherstorm. It makes it extremely hard to navigate for the Witherstorm, and anything that isn't directly around or inside of the Witherstorm's little field of blocks has a hard time penetrating it. Alright, back on track. When pieces of the Witherstorm are ripped off, they just join this little force field around the Witherstorm. And, well, when the Witherstorm is blown off, or massive chunks are ripped off or fall off of the Witherstorm, they just become another Witherstorm. Which, can cause some problems. The only true weakness to the Witherstorm is the command block, and even then, the only thing that can damage the command block is the command block itself or something of higher power, which is not really easy to come by. Feats of the Witherstorm do include destroying multiple cities, such as Boomtown, Redstonia, and Endercon, tanking a nuclear bomb at point blank, or at least something with the equivalent power of a nuclear bomb, evaporating an entire mountain in the course of a few days, literally destroying everything in its path, leaving nothing behind but bedrock, being able to pick up, throw, and destroy things of building level and trees without even breaking a sweat. Also, killing a pig, I guess. Which, yeah. Also, here's a little side note. Depending on the version of the Witherstorm you're using, such as the Engender mod or Cracker's Witherstorm, his standard equipment can change. So let's take a look at some of the things the Engender mod adds to the Witherstorm, which I will just be grouping into one whole as the Witherstorm. A notable thing that the Engender mod adds is the ability for the Witherstorm to eat bedrock. Now, I don't need to really explain that bedrock is literally indestructible. Nothing can break it. Well, except for creative mode, which would explain why the Witherstorm is able to absorb it because of the command block. But that possibly means that the Witherstorm's durability could match bedrock, which, is a terrifying thought. Another thing that the Engender mod adds is the ability to create infinite other Wither Storms, or severed Wither Storms, that come off the Wither Storm's body after it gets to a certain size. Now to Cracker's Wither Storm, another notable instance of the Wither Storm. This adds quite a few things to the Wither Storm. It's probably the most notable thingy is the Withered Army, or Withered Mobs, as they're officially called. The Wither Storm does inflict wither sickness, just not like a wither does. Unlike wither sickness rapidly decaying your body, the wither sickness opts to slowly decay you. However, it starts with the mind. The wither sickness will first slowly decay your strength as a human to almost nothing, leaving you barely able to do simple tasks like walking, breathing, and speaking. Then, it decays your mind. It starts by erasing all of your core memories. However, things like the ability to speak, walk, and do normal human things remain after your memory starts decaying. Afterwards, that's when normal bodily functions start to cease, and it ends with the human body being decayed into nothing but a mummified corpse. However, even after the wither sickness has fully reigned its course, it is completely reversible by either drinking golden apple stew or killing the wither storm, which one of the two is a lot easier than the other. And I brought that up because when the wither sickness reaches its final stage of leaving the host of the wither sickness, nothing but a withered corpse, the wither storm can control that corpse, leaving it as a soldier and a minion to the wither storm. List of mobs that the wither storm can infect are sickened zombies, sickened spiders, sickened skeletons, sickened creepers, sickened iron golems, various sickened mobs including cows, chickens, mushrooms, and other basic vanilla mobs, sickened villagers, sickened pillagers, and sickened phantoms. However, all of this pales in comparison to the Withered Symbiote. Hails from the Cracker's Witherstorm mod, and is a mini-boss of sorts from Cracker's Witherstorm mod. Its only goal, really, is to protect the Witherstorm at all costs and spread the Wither infection. The Withered Symbiote is a mutation, or an advanced form of the Withered Zombie, the Wither-sickened Zombie. The Wither Symbiote has multiple attacks, such as it can shoot evoker fangs, which come out of the ground and bite anyone in their path. It can shoot shulker bullets, which cause anyone to start flying. It can randomly summon a ton of arrows to just shoot at its victims. It can jump up into the air and do a super smash on the ground, throwing blocks and players everywhere, also causing a small explosion. It can shoot fireballs. It can also shoot ender dragon balls. It can shoot wither skulls. Yes, not just wither skulls, but also wither storm skulls. It can also pull people towards it with its command block powers. It can summon sickened mobs and command them to its will. Let's see. The Wither Storm can also summon any projectile in the game and throw them at you, ranging from any potion effect, tridents, and snowballs, just to name a few. The Wither's symbiote also has its explosion attack, where it starts gathering energy around it, and then releases it all in one massive shockwave that pushes anything, including its own mobs, back. This also sends blocks and shrapnel flying everywhere, which can be obviously very hazardous. The Wither's symbiote is completely invulnerable to all forms of attacks, except for one tiny crack in its back. Even then, the Wither symbiote is completely invulnerable until it wears itself out. After the Wither symbiote wears itself down, it will take a bow or take a knee for a second and just start repowering itself. While it is doing this, the crack on its back starts glowing a pinkish purple color. After it starts glowing a pinkish purple color, it is finally vulnerable to attacks. Even so, attacking it will cause it to power up instantly, and it will rejoin the fight. Something of interest for the Withered Symbiote is it scales anywhere from building level to multi-city block level. So that's 8C building level to 8A multi-city block level. Heck, even to 7C town level, 7B city level, if you wanted to push the Withered Symbiote to its absolute limits. There are other entities of note from other popular fan creations, such as the Withered Warden and the Withered Warrior. However, due to the Engender mod and Cracker's Witherstorm not only being the most faithful adaptations to the Minecraft story mode, Witherstorm, but also the most in-depth adaptations, which means for this I will only be including Cracker's Witherstorm as well as the Engender mod in this scaling of the Witherstorm, and even then I will not use something lest the Witherstorm from Minecraft story mode directly contradicts the Witherstorm not being able to do that. The command block is where things really start getting crazy. You thought a multi-universe devouring god of destruction-like entity that can summon endless hordes of monsters to its very will was impressive? Unfortunately, it is not. You see, the thing about the Witherstorm is the Witherstorm has the command block. That's what fuels it. Now, you may be saying, yeah, that's obvious, but I doubt you understand just what that means. The Witherstorm, the command block is powerful enough to alter reality itself and pretty much do anything the user wants it to do. For example, the Witherstorm has the command block has the abilities like some abilities, I don't know, like battlefield removal, creation, data manipulation, death manipulation, duplication, multi-dimensional travel, and so much more that I can't even begin to list. Its attack potency ranges from high universal all the way to boundless. Casually boundless, by the way. The command block, as soon as something is registered within its set of commands, it happens immediately. Its durability is pretty much indestructible lest the command block itself or something of an even higher power, which again is far and few in between, strikes the command block is the only thing that can damage it. The command block's range is infinite, and again, almost no weaknesses. Heck, even trying to power it off technically won't work because you could just switch in the settings the need to not use redstone anymore. The command block is absolutely insane. And oh, did I also mention that it has the ability to, I don't know, use the /kill command, which literally kills everything except for outer-worldly godlike beings, such as Witherzilla or Yogg-Sothoth. Yeah. Oh boy. The, command block takes the Wither Storm from being high universal level to, get this, theoretically boundless, due to the fact that the command block could teleport the Wither Storm through vast alternate dimensions, being able to travel anywhere it wants, to the fact that it's almost impossible to break, and the Wither Storm, if we are saying it's smart enough, can completely use the command block's power, allowing it to do all this crazy crap without anything stopping it. Yeah, the Wither Storm is absolutely insane. Heck, even calculating all this makes my brain hurt. Yeah, you know that one video on the internet somewhere that calculates what everything Steve's able to do? Yeah. Thing about that is... oh, brother, thing about that is... a lot of what Steve can do, especially in creative mode with cheats on, the Wither Storm can also do because of the command block. Which means... the Wither Storm is one of the most powerful creatures within fiction without even trying. Even able to rival notable characters theoretically like Goku and Saitama. However, for the sake of this battle, I will not be giving it the powers of command blocks. I only will be doing that if I see no other way suited for the Wither Storm to match up against the Storm King, which I see to be highly, highly unlikely. Even so, I will have to limit what it's able to do, such as, you know, the kill command. Cause it'd be a rather boring battle if I just let the Wither Storm use /kill at E. Don't you say? Overall, the Wither Storm is a high-ranking, godlike entity, heck, maybe even a god of destruction in its own right. That being said, the Wither Storm is a formidable foe, and is nothing to laugh at. However, will the Storm King from Fortnite even stand a lick of a chance against the Wither Storm? Well, let's find out, everybody.
Hello, everybody. If you would be so kind as to give me a moment of your time before we do a deep delve into the Storm King. This video is officially sponsored by me. That's right, folks. No one sponsors a channel like me, so I have to do it myself. If you enjoy this content, then please consider liking and subscribing. My goal was to reach 2,000 subscribers by the end of summer, but every day that looks less possible. I have 14 more days to do it, so your help would really, really be appreciated. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, one day I can get an actual sponsor for this channel. And then just think about it. You would be part of the reason that I actually got a sponsor. You would be part of the channel's history. So if you want to say that you were part of Danny Lee before we hit 2,000 subscribers, then make sure to join right away. Without further ado, let's get into the Storm King.
Well, let's see. In his presence, I've lived 1,000 lives and died 1,000 deaths. To speak his name is to drink in the sloshy water of insanity. And I'm pretty sure he was purple. Would a gargoyle fill your soul with purple water and make you slosh forevermore?
The Storm King is described as being a humanoid monstrosity, zombie-like creature that rules the storms in Fortnite. In appearance-wise, he looks very similar to the design of the Time Eater from Sonic Generations. He has massive purple crystals sprouting from his body, as well as a dark, almost lavender-toned skin. The crystals on the Storm King's body will glow yellow. When they are glowing yellow, that signifies that the Storm King has become weak and vulnerable to attacks. The Storm King has a tornado at its base that can often there is purple electricity seen around the body of the Storm King, as well as it has 2 massive horns poking out from its head. These also glow yellow and can be destroyed. Once all of the weak points on the Storm King's body is destroyed, the Storm King itself will start glowing yellow. That signifies that the Storm King is weak to attacks and is ready to be put down. Alright, so this part is where things get kind of hard. The lore of the Storm King is, to put it simply, very, very complicated. It is quite unfortunate that the Storm King just so happens to be an integral part to Fortnite lore, which is one of the most complicated video game lores I've ever had to study, due to it being a multi-billion-dollar corporation video game that's been forced to continue well beyond what its original story would have entailed. Anyway, Storm Kings are very overpowered and highly intelligent monsters seeking power and destruction. It just so happens that these are the final evolution of cubes. That's right, Kevin the Cube from Fortnite? Yeah, he's a Storm King. Anyway, there are 3 main lores we need to cover with the Storm King: Save the World, Battle Royale, and Lego Fortnite lore. Alright, so Save the World lore. Long ago, an ancient civilization known as the Last Reality had their mothership crash land in the Save the World universe. This caused a few cubes to leak off the mothership. These cubes started spreading storm energy to the world. However, it quickly disappeared. Turns out, over many of years, these cubes that seemingly disappeared were secretly evolving into Storm Kings. That's right,
there's more than one Storm King. There's actually a lot of Storm Kings. The Storm Kings then spread their corruption to the world, eviscerating 98% of the Save the World universe. Or at least the Save the World main planet. 98% of it was wiped out. Everyone caught in the disaster was turned into husks. Zombie-like creatures. Eventually, a dude named Lars accidentally stumbles upon the Storm King while just driving around in his van. The Storm King used mind control tactics to try and destroy the rest of the world that was left. That last 2% of it. However, the Storm King was defeated. And the same beast that defeated that Storm King would go on to defeat many more. Now, there is some more lore to that, but that's just the basic lore of how Storm Kings appeared and what they are. In Fortnite Battle Royale, during Frightmares, a Storm King found the island and appeared in the island, corrupted at the center of the island, to make it the Isle of the Storm. However, the Loopers, which in case you don't know, Loopers are the people that fight on the Fortnite island, managed to defeat the Storm King, saving their island. Later on, during something known as the Rift Tour, for some reason the Storm King is associated with Ariana Grande. Yeah, don't ask. I don't know. But yeah, while Ariana Grande is taking the Loopers through tours of different dimensions, they just happen to go through the last reality's home dimension, which also happens to be the Storm King's last home dimension, which means they are confronted by a massive Storm King trying to eviscerate them. Finally, we got Lego Fortnite Odyssey lore for the Storm King. So apparently the storm started seeping into the world of Legos, and eventually this led into the Storm King breaking a rift in reality, causing it to leak into the Lego world itself, corrupting multiple parts of the world and multiple people to be in its legion. Of course, inevitably, the Storm King is set to be defeated. Yeah, and that's the basic lore of the Storm King. Now we are moving on to the powers and abilities of the Storm King. The Storm King has many different powers. Let's start. He has superhuman physical characteristics, large size, intangibility, weather manipulation, corruption, energy manipulation, vibration manipulation, electricity manipulation, earth manipulation, portal creation, and yeah, that's his basic powers. He also has reality manipulation. When he is Kevin the Cube, superhuman characteristics like large size, technology manipulation, flight, empathetic manipulation, and madness manipulation. And finally, the storms he caused have air manipulation, electricity manipulation, durability negation, existence erasure, creation, necromancy, life manipulation, and yeah. Hello. So what I originally said here got cut out. That's my bad. So instead, I'm just gonna give you a basic summary by saying all you need to worry about is that the Storm King is really overpowered. Yeah. Unknown levels of destruction. So city block level is a low estimate for his attack potency. We just don't know what his full power is capable of. Keep in mind, due to many different universes coming into the Fortnite world with many powerful people, the Storm King scales to most of the playable people to most of the people you are able to play in Fortnite due to storms being able to kill most of them. The speed of the Storm King is Supersonic Plus due to it being able to keep up with players, but that is again a lowball estimate. The Storm King it is very, very fast due to it being, well, a living storm. Not only that, the Storm King does have teleportation, which could boost its speed up infinite measures. His lifting strength is, again, superhuman, likely class M, due to, him being giant. Striking strength is calculated to be city block level or higher. Durability, at least city block level. However, the durability of the Storm King the Storm King is completely invulnerable to all forms of attacks, unless one of its weak points are glowing. Its weak points, however, are vulnerable to simple weapons like grenades, bullets, and other form of man-made weaponry. And of course, the durability of the Storm King drops to 0 as soon as all of its weak points are broken. The amount of stamina that the Storm King has is currently unknown. However, we do see examples of the Storm King powering down and getting tired throughout its fights. The range of the Storm King is quite interesting. The Storm King is at least tens of meters due to its size alone, but hundreds of meters due to the shockwaves and blasts it can release from his body. However, if you want to include the storm, then... If you want to include the storm, then you see, it goes to planetary really quickly due to him, wiping out 98% of a planet. And it's like a large planet, too. Roughly the size of Earth. He has immense intelligence, being one of the smartest monsters in Fortnite lore, I do believe. He is a very cunning and manipulative entity, and yeah, he is surprisingly smart for what he looks like. His weaknesses, as previously mentioned, are the glowing yellow crystals on his bodies. After you destroy his horns, however, his entire body becomes vulnerable, so that is something of note. Now on to the cube. The cube is at least city block level and attack potency. Of course, due to the Storm King, it can be much higher, and due to the power of the storms itself, which actually radiate from the cubes, it can get much, much higher. The speed of the cubes can range anywhere from, moving a couple feet a month to sub-supersonic. The cube has no lifting strength. Again, it's just a cube. It can't really lift things, and if I am correct, the cube doesn't really become sentient until it becomes a Storm King. Its striking strength is at least building level to city block level when higher. The cube, when it's moving, can destroy literally anything that gets in its path. And its durability is quite immense. Rarely do we ever see cubes be damaged. They are usually immune to bullets and other forms of projectiles, as seen in Fortnite. However, they do become more vulnerable when they evolve into the Storm King. The stamina of the cube is theoretically infinite due to it being, a seemingly infinite power source. The range of the cube is not very much, just whatever is in front of the cube usually is going to have a bad time unless it powers up like it does when it becomes the Storm King. However, if you want to include the storm, once again it becomes planetary. Again, the intelligence of the cube is Well, theoretically 0. I haven't been able to find anything on if the cubes are sentient before they become Storm Kings, but from what I've seen, they are not. The Storm in attack potency is planetary. It is able to corrupt and wipe out entire planets with minimal ease. The speed of the Storm is about that of your average athletic human, traveling at the speed that most storms do, which could get really fast, really quickly, but we never see the storm move too fast, if I am not mistaken. The storm cannot lift things, so it has no lifting strength. As for striking strength, this is a bit interesting to calculate. Due to the fact it's a storm, it doesn't really hit anything. However, lightning included, it is at least building level. Durability is seemingly infinite. Stamina is infinite. The range is, again, planetary to possibly universal, depending on how far the storm spreads. Intelligence is 0, and the storm's weaknesses are cubes and storm kings, due to them being the thing that generates storms. Yeah, so all in all, I would at high end, I would tier the Storm King to be 2A multiversal level plus. I'd tier the Cube to be 3A universal level, and I tier the Storm to be 3C galaxy level. Yeah, moving on. As for the Storm King's equipment, durability, and intelligence, well, I'll just get intelligence and durability out of the way real quick. As previously stated, the Storm King is a highly intelligent and conniving monster that, is just very, very intelligent. Described as one of the smartest cube monsters. As for the Storm King's abilities, the Storm King is capable of storm creation, reality warping. He is capable of shooting massive lasers which destroy anything in their path. He is capable of rift manipulation, which basically means he can tear holes between the fabric of time and space and go anywhere he wants. He can shoot deadly beams of death and destruction. He can summon meteors to fall from the sky. He can send out shockwaves which destroy anything in the path of it that the Storm King wants it to. He can manipulate lightning to an expert degree, using them to spawn summoners, which basically act like withered symbiotes in the way that they help spread the infection of corruption and summon mist monsters and husks. He has the ability to manipulate corruption, which, well, yeah, corruption is similar to the Wither Storm's ability of withering sickness. However, corruption corrupts everything: the land, the people, the animals, anything in its path gets the life sucked out of it and is replaced with just a purple energy of hollowness. The Storm King has the ability to shift between the states of solid, liquids, and gases, and possibly some of his most powerful abilities are telepathy, and most importantly, mind control. He is adept to creating tornadoes to serve his purpose, and most of his attacks have the ability to pierce through defenses, be it shields, walls, or anything of that sorts. Finally, it's time to cover the feats of the Storm King. Or Storm Kings, that is. First and foremost, I think that the most impressive feat that the Storm King was able to pull off was the fact that it eviscerated 98% of the world it came from. decimating the populations, and also transforming them into, well, cube zombies. But this isn't the only world he's taken over. The Storm King with the Last Reality's goal is to eliminate all alternate realities and leave them as nothing. Basically, think the end from Sonic Frontiers. Other feats include, I forgot to mention this earlier, but the Storm King can also shoot a weaker laser blast from its mouth. This one is yellow instead of purple. And the weaker one was able to melt a plane and, set it on fire and keep it glowing red after just a second of contact. The Storm King's powers are no jokes. In Lego Fortnite Odyssey, the Storm King manages to rip a hole between dimensions, come into the Lego world, corrupt as many people as it can, and, absolutely obliterate a part of the world. A part of the world he comes from. The part of the Lego world that he corrupted. The Lego version pretty much shares the, abilities of the, other Storm King, except it does add the ability for him to slam the ground, releasing electrical abilities, to smash everything in its path, to just slap its enemies around, which the other one could do, but only the Lego Fortnite version actually does it. And then it has the ability to summon, instead of a bunch of small meteors, one giant meteor that pummels everything in its path. And yeah, there isn't as much to cover with the Storm King as there was with the Wither Storm, due to there only being, the one version of the Storm King that shared upon all three versions. But yeah, without further ado, I think it's finally time to calculate who would win this battle. Without further ado, let's go, everybody! So, this leaves us with one question. Who wins? The Wither Storm or the Storm King? Well, to answer this question, I concocted a little story for y'all. So kick back, relax, and listen as I narrate how I theorize that a potential battle, or how a potential battle would go between the Wither Storm from Minecraft Story Mode and the Storm King from Fortnite, Lego Fortnite, and Save the World Fortnite. So without further ado, everybody, let's begin, shall we? We start off in the beautiful world of Minecraft. Everything is calm and pristine. Villagers are villaging. Players are playing. And mobs are just, mobbing around, doing mob things. When out of nowhere, the sky itself begins to shake as a blue rift shatters the sky. Two massive purple claws come out each side, and flying down comes the Storm King. He lands with a thump and lets out a mighty yell as a horde of demons and mist monsters and creatures behind him start flooding out to attack everyone in their path. Except everything isn't as peaceful in the world of Minecraft as it once seemed. Instead of running away from the Storm King, he realizes something interesting. All the monsters are running towards him, but not just the monsters. The people, the villagers, the players, everyone is running towards him instead of away from him. Admittedly, some of them are running away, but not all of them. Most of them are running away from him as if they see something else as a greater threat. This is when he turns and looks up to see a massive mountain in the background moving towards him. He sees why everyone was running. The thing he sees in the distance is the Wither Storm. Except, there isn't just one mountain-sized creature next to him, or moving towards him. No, there's two smaller ones approaching him rapidly as well. He doesn't know what this creature is, but he does know one thing. This creature is a possible threat to him. So, he sends his army. His army massacres everything in its path. Trees, people, villagers. But they are all making their way towards the Wither Storm. The Wither Storm effortlessly destroys everything that tries to attack him, be it tentacles swiping them away like flies, or tractor beams beaming him up, causing him to consume them like candy. The Storm King is shocked. The last thing he expected to see was this creature eating his army, but it's no matter. The Storm King runs in to make his entrance. He is on the prowl. The Storm King punches the main Wither Storm with all of his might, sending the main body of the Wither Storm back quite a ways, but it's not quite enough yet. The severed Wither Storms move in to make their attacks. One of the severed Wither Storms manages to wrap its tentacle, or one of its tentacles, around the arm of the Storm King. This was a mistake. The Storm King grabs the tentacle that's wrapped around his arm and flings the severed Wither Storm into the other severed Wither Storm. Both of them seemingly power down and lie on the ground defeated. The Wither Storm is obviously not happy that he just decommissioned his two severed Wither Storms, so the Wither Storm is now on the attack. A massive brawl ensues. Swipes of purple energy, tentacles, and tractor beams are everywhere. Meteors are flying. Wither Storm skulls are flying as well. Tentacles are swooping and fists are clawing. It's a brawl to the death between these two. An immense fight between decay and corruption. Just then the Storm King calls in another horde of its minions. So from the Wither Storm's body starts raining infected mobs who actively go out to destroy the corruption. A massive war starts between the two opposing sides. Just then, the Storm King calls in one of its strongest monsters. They call it the Collector. At least I think it was called the Collector. Let's hope I was right. So the Wither Storm in retaliation releases its most powerful warrior, the Withered Symbiote. As they charge towards each other, any base enemy caught in between their path is obliterated. Symbiotes are destroying mist monsters like nothing, and the Collector's destroying withered monsters like nothing. It's a brawl for sure, but it's hard to determine the victor. While the Storm King is pumping electricity into the ground to summon more of his mist summoning crystals, the Wither Storm takes that as advantage and pounces on the Storm King. He pins him down with his tentacles and starts doing a mop maneuver, constantly swatting him with tendrils. It's all in vain, however, as the Storm King releases a massive burst of energy, pushing this Wither Storm away and dealing massive damage to anything around him. Just then, the Wither Storm swoops in with another one of its tentacles, but the Storm King rips this tentacle off and uses it as a whip to knock a massive chunk of the Wither Storm's back off. However, this might have been a mistake, because that chunk becomes its own severed Wither Storm. And with the command block energy pulsing out to give life to this severed Wither Storm, the two other severed Wither Storms roar to life. This time, one of the severed Wither Storms focuses purely on the armies, while the other three Wither Storms focus on the Storm King. A battle ensues, but it's only a matter of time until the Storm King gets overwhelmed. After all, it's 1-on-3. The severed Wither Storms hold down the Storm King. The Storm King desperately lets out a quick blast of energy towards one of the Wither Storm segments. Even though it does a little bit of damage, it's not enough to fully destroy it. The severed Wither Storms start crushing his body, effectively accidentally destroying the weak points on his body as well. Through sheer attack, one of the withered symbiotes bites off one of the Storm King's horns. It rears in pain, and the Wither Storm can sense, it can feel that made it weaker. So they rip off the other horn as well. This makes the Storm King become vulnerable. So they unleash everything they have on the Storm King. It's a fierce battle, but honestly, the Storm King is just falling short here. The Storm King's energy runs out and it relents. It starts swirling as energy gathers up. If it's gonna die, it's gonna unleash one more explosion in its death. But the Wither Storm quickly dissolved the energy into itself before that could happen. Unlike in normal Fortnite, this is going to be more like how he dies in Lego Fortnite. He doesn't leave behind a cube, more or less. He just swirls and swirls and swirls until he explodes. And with that, the Wither Storm cuts off the energy. He quickly devours what's left of the Storm Army. And, well, the rift eventually closes. Or no, the Wither Storm closes the rift, leaving it to devour the rest of the Minecraft world. However, there is a second ending to this. Everything plays the same up until the two severed Wither Storms are holding down the Storm King. This is where things get rather interesting. Instead of aiming his laser blast towards the severed Wither Storm, he fully charges a laser blast and aims it towards the main Wither Storm. That puts a hole in his forehead. The Storm King uses a rift to rift out of the clutches of the severed Wither Storms and desperately holds on to the massive forehead of the Wither Storm. He shrinks down to the size he is in Lego Fortnite and enters the hole he created. He enters a vast catacomb of decay. There are some monsters in there, but nothing that the Storm King can't handle. This is when he stumbles upon the command block in the ribcage of the Wither Storm. He stumbles upon the command block in the ribcage of the Wither Storm. He doesn't know what it is, but he senses power from it. He senses that more likely than not, this is the thing that's powering the Wither Storm. So, with all of his energy, he releases a laser blast towards the command block. This doesn't damage it, but it causes it to activate. Inside, a battle ensues. monsters start rearing to attack the Storm King. A withered symbiote comes out of nowhere and tackles the Storm King. Of course, with minimal effort, the Storm King manages to destroy the symbiote. However, from it drops a book. It's a book he hasn't seen before. Just then, one of the tentacles around the main ribcage of the command block manages to grab onto the horn of the Storm King and rip it off, throwing it back at the Storm King. The Storm King was weakened by that, but he has an idea. He feels an unholy amount of power coming from that book. So he grabs the book. And holds it up. All of its energy starts shining. He holds up the severed piece of his horn, and the energy combines. He has a command-infused storm horn blade. With this, he feels he might actually be able to deal damage to the Wither Storm. He takes his horn, and with all of his might, he slams it into the command block. This manages to crack it open like an egg. But it's not done yet. A blast of energy sends the Storm King rearing back. And what happens next is all a blur to the Storm King, but he thinks it has to do with tentacles sprouting out of the stomach and a battle ensuing. This forces the Storm King to use evasive maneuvers, eventually getting close enough to the command block to strike it again. This is when things really become unstable. The whole belly of the Wither Storm flips upside down, and the Storm King is left there baffled. The Storm King's first attempt is to use a rift to get up to the command block, but it doesn't work as one of the tentacles grabs him as he comes out of the rift, throwing him against the wall. It throws him so hard that two heads pop out of the side of the Wither Storm, effectively acting as more defense. The Wither Storm heads quickly start trying to destroy the Storm King. One of them even manages to tractor beam it up, but with his Storm Horn, the Storm King effortlessly destroys the Storm Head. But not before the Wither Storm Head bit off his last horn. This is it now. It's either he destroys the Wither Storm or the Wither Storm destroys him. There is no other turnout. The Storm King throws its horn at the command block with all of its might. It cuts through tentacles and mobs alike until it eventually thrusts through the command block, shattering it. All that energy that's stored in the command block starts rapidly condensing into a pinpoint before blasting out in an explosion at the speed of light. The whole Wither Storm, all of its flesh starts glowing a bright pink. The Storm King realizes it has to get out of there. It opens a rift to escape, but as it does, the Wither Storm explodes. Outside the Wither Storm, a massive fireworks show and goes off in the sky as the Wither Storm explodes and falls apart. Just then we can see the Storm King go flying. It's defeated. It has no more energy left. It can feel itself losing to the tornado at its base, starting to condense down back into a cube. However, even though he lost the battle, he didn't lose the war. He turns over to see another Storm King coming out of the very rift he came through. He knows that the Minecraft world is his to claim. Yeah, and that's the story. I will say, I see the Wither Storm winning. I see that the Wither Storm ultimately scales above the Storm King, and I could see it to a point where the Wither Storm would most likely win about 70 out of 100% of all the battles that he fights against the Storm King. Now, there are some other things I could throw in here, like giving the Storm the power of the command block, or giving the Storm King the power to call on the last reality, but yeah, I think for now, this is ultimately how the battle would conclude. Without further ado, this is Danny Lee. Thank you all for watching, I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to like and subscribe. If you find yourself in a position to give wealth, then become a channel member to support me. Yeah, without further ado, I hope you all have a brilliant day. Help me get to 2,000 subscribers before the end of summer. And yeah, this is Danny Lee signing out. Peace, everybody. Bye-bye.